What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Compa Coffee Roasters podcast. I'm Big J. I'm the coffee director for Compa Coffee Roasters. Today, I'm here with Tyler Herrera, past coffee San Diego legend of sorts.
Legend.
On our way to a brighter future, man. What's going on?
Nothing much. Yeah, definitely lots of changes and, lots of transitions in my life right now, but happy to be here.
To provide some context, you are now turning priority to copywriting. Oh, fuck, I'm fucking spilling. Anybody that's ever drank any liquid with me, whether it be coffee or any sort of liquid, this is cold pressed juice. They know I will fucking spill.
I was going to say, I feel like this is par for the course.
I can spill water, dude, I swear.
Cheers, my dude.
Man.
That's dank. Very bomb.
Yeah, we're doing cold pressed juice now. Carrot, pineapple, orange, turmeric.
I fuck with that. Yeah.
So bomb.
But yeah, transitioning to copywriting. Well, it's funny, I say transitioning to copywriting because copywriting is any writing that's writing to persuade, and so copywriting is used most often in business. So like, traditionally writing like a direct mail, like sales letters and stuff, but an advertisement is copywriting,
Okay.
So it's funny, I say transitioning to copywriting, but I wrote everything for Tired Eyes. I wrote all the captions, I wrote emails, I wrote the story, you know what I mean?
Right.
And writing has always been a strong skill of mine, but that being said, my stats for my emails for Tired Eyes, like the traditional benchmarks for like how many people open your email, how many sales are made, mine were always really high. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, damn, apparently I am good at writing.
Right.
And so I've always done copywriting in some sense, and any business owner does, whether they realize it or not. But yes, now I'm focusing on it wholeheartedly.
Right.
Yeah.
So before copywriting was one of the many hats you wore for your coffee company, Tired Eyes. And I say company because it was more than a shop. It was more than an online wholesale. It was more than a coffee roaster. You had a brand. You had a team of writers.
Yeah.
You had a shop and roasted coffee. What about Tired Eyes, what about the copywriting made you want to take that facet and run with that outside of Tired Eyes?
It's a really good question. I mean, I think it's because I realized how valuable of a skill it is. Because if you can write to sell, then like you can take that with you anywhere you go. And I can do it from my laptop anywhere, you know what I mean? So that really started to click with me. And it was more in line with who I am as a person, you know what I mean? And what I mean by that is like, I've always scored really, like I didn't do well in school, but I always scored really high on the written language tests, in any like traditional tests that you go through in high school and stuff. Like I was always scoring like way above average in written. So I didn't realize it because I was so focused on coffee, but that was like naturally what I was good at, Right. And so, as a lot of people know, stuff was happening in my personal life that was just really causing me a lot of stress, frankly.
Right.
And causing me to like really reevaluate my time, like emphasis on that, I was really just in a position where I was like, fuck, man. Like I was getting these reality checks where like I just was reminded of how short life is. And so I just kept feeling like, how do I want to spend my time? And again, I was realizing like I fucking love writing. That's what I love out of this whole thing is I love telling the story. I love crafting the story. And, you know, my first ever dream job when I was a kid was I wanted to be like a journalist or like a broadcaster. Like,
I still love the idea of that job.
yeah,
That job
I think
sounds so
it's,
cool to
dude,
me.
I am a Sports Center fanatic. Like I watch, you know, I watch all kinds of like basketball podcasts. Like I love just like that type of media.
To me, sports media has always felt like one facet of journalism that you could truly be uncensored and like go as far as you want to with your wildest, craziest theories. And because I think often in journalism, if it's political or if it's for a newspaper or something like that, censorship often curbs you from truly writing what you want to write about.
100%.
You're going to hit that roadblock at some point. But sports media,
Yeah,
always
you
just
can say whatever you want, pretty much.
Padres suck, and next week the Padres are amazing, and the next week the Padres
Literally,
like,
yeah.
whatever you're feeling, which
Yeah.
is a kind of a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, it was really just taking a step back and evaluating because of what was happening in my personal life.
Right.
Look, it's not that I was losing my love for coffee. It's that because of what was happening in my personal life, I was like, you know, running a shop is hard fucking work, and anything in life is. But the thing was, running the shop was taking me away from things that I really wanted to be near.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, after, you know, the reality checks I had in my personal life, I was just like, damn, like, I want to be with my family more often, you know, so I need to figure out a way to make that happen.
Right.
You know, like, and once I started to realize like copywriting can be done from anywhere, and it also is a very powerful tool for other brands, and like, you know, currently I'm freelancing and doing work for other companies right now. It's so exciting. I still feel like I get to run a business because I get to see what my work does for other businesses.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
100%.
So yeah, so I'm not like dipping out of like small business ownership or business ownership in general or anything like that. I'm just changing my trajectory because my personal life got so chaotic that I was like, fuck, I need to readjust.
I'm kind of hoping this conversation opens a bigger perspective to people understanding that shop owner feels like one hat to somebody, but suddenly when you own a physical small business, even before Tired Eyes was a brick and mortar, you were a coffee roaster, you were a copywriter, you were doing marketing, you were doing pop-ups, so you had to hit people up and figure out how you're going to go brew coffee and be the barista for the day, and all of these things. Then you open a brick and mortar, you're doing your own construction, you're doing your own real estate negotiations, you're doing your own all of these things the day to day. We obviously need to bring up COVID hitting not only San Diego so hard, and San Diego got hit really hard. Homelessness is up hundreds of % in the last 2 years.
Literally, yeah.
Especially in downtown, where you unfortunately were located. And I think originally when you had moved down there, downtown wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
Wasn't, especially not that bad.
Yeah. Well, and you know, when I moved down there, it was gritty, but that fit our brand. You know, and it fit our brand, and there was kind of like a coffee desert down there. There wasn't a ton. There was just Copa Vita, one coffee and tea collective, but there just wasn't a lot down there. And I was like, I was so driven by the BMX thing that it made sense to me. And I think that was not a bad choice.
No.
But had I known COVID was going to happen, I wouldn't have made the decision to be downtown. I've told a lot of people I would probably still have a shop if it wasn't for being in East Village. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And not to mention, downtown got hit really hard. Our block, like right there, got so...
One of the worst blocks that got hit in downtown.
Literally, you know, and it was so obvious, and it was wearing me out.
And like, how many of those small businesses on that block that were open in 2019 are open right now?
Oh, dude, within 6 months of COVID hitting, 4 businesses were gone.
On
my block. On my block.
And like the fact that we all just watched that happen, I mean, it's fucking literally tragic. I mean, for small business in general, I think COVID fucked us. Hospitality fucked us.
Yeah.
But again, to bring this conversation back to people realizing what a personal energy tax it is to be a business owner, like, and how hard that actually is. If you don't take the time to handle your personal grief, your personal traumas, your personal whatever you're going through, literally whatever you're going through on a scale of 1 to 10, whatever it is. If you don't take that time to deal with it, it's harder to go and be that contractor when you show up, and HR representative for your employees, and customer service, and all of these things. And I've had the conversation a couple times, unfortunately, with customers during COVID, where customers come in and expect, while we have a barista at the bar and an employee at the register and another employee over there, they want the shop owner to turn and say, hey, how are you? And it's like, yo, that guy is literally reading leases and trying to order us coffee and making sure our inventory is still coming and dealing with supply chain and all of these million things. And I'm hoping people use this conversation and really realize that.
Yeah, and you know, that's not to say it's not worth it, because like I still think it's thrilling being part of your community and like, you know, owning your own business, but you just have to be prepared for like, it's a, you know, it's a uphill battle every day.
Right.
You know, and that's fun some days, and other days it's exhausting, you know, and like, so yeah, you wear many hats and that can get very tiring, and I just had too much going on, and, you know, I did it so young also. Like, I'm still barely 29.
It's the most like impressive part that we're seeing in San Diego. You or Will at Scrimshaw, like to be under 30 and to be, I mean, any age, respectfully, I am still fathoming the idea of owning a business and how to handle all those hats.
Yeah.
To be under 30 and do it is crazy, man.
Yeah. And so I just like, again, I do think I'll have a coffee shop again one day, but right now I'm just focusing on skills that are like, again, they feel truly in line with me, and there's no extra baggage with them right now. Like, I can run my business, I can make my money from my computer right now, wherever I'm at.
Right.
You know, and like, again, after what I was going through in my personal life and what my family was experiencing, I was just like, I just want to do something where like I can wake up one day, and if my mom is like, hey, you want to come to the house for lunch, I can go do that.
Right.
You know, like my time is just like my number one thing, right? I should say my quality time is most important to me right now, you know.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it truly is. It's beautiful, and, you know.
I mean, this post is like, it just says everything. You did a post on Instagram to announce that Tired Eyes is officially done as a business. And just the way that you were so transparent with how you felt, I think it just really resonated with me. This one slide right here, it says, I was calling 911 for people overdosing, negotiating with strangers to stop smoking crack in front of my shop, getting threatened by those same people, you name it, I saw it. And for the sake of my own health, I had to move on. And I think that, like, I can even hear in your voice, you're trying to justify it to people here. And for me, I just really, all of this was like further justification that I already had been feeling secondhand. Every time I visited, I couldn't.
You were there a lot too.
And I couldn't even, the last 3 times I had gone to your shop, an episode of this happened.
Yeah.
That was like so, it was hard to watch, and it was hard to like, because again, I'm only a couple years younger. I'm from the city. It's fucking disgusting for me to see somebody who's young and confident in themselves and says, I want to open a business here and have a beautiful business plan, and everything to me made sense. Everything from start to finish.
Yeah.
And then you not being able to get a gas meter from the city was one of my like biggest, like the fact that it was hard for you to put a roaster in to your shop.
Yeah.
Has made me hyper aware. If that's a good word for that.
Yeah.
I am taking that story, hearing 7 other stories like it, and I'm disappointed.
Yeah, it's tough. It is no joke. There's a lot of hoops you have to jump through, you know, to keep your business afloat, you know, and so that's what I'm saying. I felt like I was being bombarded with real stressors from every direction. Mm-hmm. You know, there was the basic business stuff of just like you said, like leases and payroll and ordering stuff and, how much money do we have, all that, like the basic stuff that every business owner faces. But then on a personal level, I had, a lot of my foundation was crumbling. And then on top of that, and perhaps most taxing was the neighborhood, and I didn't say it in that post, but like, and this is the first time I'm saying this publicly anywhere. I discovered a dead body in the gutter in front of the shop one day. Like legitimately, I saw the body, and this is what's so fucked, is I saw the body. It was right around the time COVID had hit. So I was in the shop alone one day. Restaurants hadn't completely shut down yet. It was like literally like the first week or so of COVID where everyone was just figuring out like, what the fuck are we doing? So I closed up the shop, and I was gonna go get lunch, and I walked out, and across the street there was a guy face down in the gutter, and I thought like, it's fucked up, but I thought like, damn, he's on one.
Right.
I've seen a lot of stuff down there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've seen people just laying on the ground down there, and they've been alive. So naively, I just kept walking. I come back like 15 minutes later. I come back from picking up my lunch, and there's police everywhere. And I was like, no way. And so like they're staring at the guy right there, and so I was like, is he dead? And they were like, yeah, he's dead. And I was like, I saw him like 15 minutes ago, and they questioned me, and like I didn't have any information beyond like, I just saw him here 15 minutes ago, but they were like, yeah, we're gonna find out what it is. But the dude was just dead across the street from my shop.
Is it more like, it's so gross, first of all, that like it's so normalized to us, whether it being downtown or like imagine all the other small business owners or all the other residents of downtown that just walked by him and just like thought the same thing you did, like, damn, that fool's fucked up, like, because we think it is that way right now. If you go to downtown San Diego, you will walk by somebody who is face down in the street,
literally.
And
exactly.
Like, is it up to us to check, is it up to you as the coffee shop owner to go and like check pulse?
That's
and like call 911 and like, oh, I can't open my shop right now. People are standing outside waiting for coffee. I have to, hold on guys, there's literally a dead body right here because our city is in shambles right now.
Yeah, it was chaos, and it was legitimately traumatizing, and like, I called on 2 different people ODing, and even the fact that I was able to recognize when people were ODing, you know what I mean, was like, right. I never thought I would be in that position, but like, the first time I saw it, admittedly, this was not during business hours. I was down there with some homies riding, and after the shop had closed, but still right near the shop. And 20 yards away, I was talking to my friend, and behind him, like 20 yards away, I saw a dude just standing, and I saw his knees start to wobble. And like, I'm watching this happen, and it's all happening so fast. I see his knees start to wobble, and they just buckle, and he falls straight back. And I just watched his head hit the ground, and I was like, oh, fuck. And I ran over there, because like, he was with some other houseless people, and like, they all started screaming. I ran over there. The dude was like, it was terrifying. Like, the dude was foaming out of his mouth, like gasping for air, and was turning so blue, and his head was bleeding because he hit the ground. And so I called 911 because I was the only one with the phone. That his houseless friends didn't have a phone, so I called 911. Long story short, ambulance shows up like that because there's a few firehouses down there. Paramedics show up like right away. This dude, I'm like, he stops breathing. I'm fully convinced I just watched him die. And then you probably know this because we've done firefighting and stuff. They roll up with a fucking Narcan pen, which I've never seen in action. Dude, they were so calm. I'm just sitting here like, fuck, I just watched this dude die.
Again, how crazy is it that it's normalized to them?
Exactly.
Videos don't do that shit, man. Like, you've had to do that once or twice for it to just be like, whoop,
They were so calm. They walked up, just set their stuff down, pulled out the pen, hit him right in the thigh, and this motherfucker just like, just comes back to life, and I was like, what the fuck am I witnessing? And so like, that was one time. Another time was directly across the street from the shop, and I saw it happening. Same exact thing happened, except this time I was more calm because I was just like, well, I've seen this happen. They're going to walk up with a Narcan pen. They're going to hit him, and they revived him. But it was crazy, and it was just so traumatizing. And yeah, I mean, several times, many times I would have to ask people to leave the front of the shop, because of doing drugs in front of it, which I have no issue with, but just take it somewhere else, and like I would get threatened by people. Some dude had a golf club and was threatening to, he was trying to throw out gang signs with me and shit, and like he was high out of his mind and just mad at me because I was asking him to leave. That was like any given day of the week for me.
Right.
And like, I don't want to deal with that.
Fuck
no one does.
Like, it's hostility where you're trying to be at home.
Yeah.
Nobody wants hostility at home.
Like,
Nobody, you're just chilling there, like, let alone by yourself, because again, you're wearing so many hats that you are often the person behind the register at the shop.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I mean, that's a life of a small business owner first few years anyways.
Yeah. So yeah, it was, those are just a few of many, literally many stories I have down there, of just like, I was a social worker down there. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly,
I was like constantly de-escalating stuff on top of everything else I had
That's
going on.
such a crazy way to put that. And now when you think about all of the other businesses that have been down there for years and like the Pokies, the neighborhood, all of those other businesses that have been down there for fucking years, what they've been dealing with for years and like how they have acclimated to that whole environment is again disappointing. And I don't mean to like hate on the city because I have no answer and I have no blame. 100%. Like it's not like your fault or your fault. Like there's so many issues going on here in both systemic and both problem solving and financial, like how are we spending our money and all that shit that's so much bigger than me. I just want to see it be easier for small business owners to open and operate and receive help from the city. And again, like I'm so lucky that I get to work in this environment where I serve everybody here, from the coffee shop owners to the police to the houseless to the recently homed, and like I get to hear all of these perspectives and hear all of their answers to this issue, whatever the fuck. Which again, it's a much bigger issue. Yeah,
and again, that was definitely kind of one of the many layers of it. Was like I couldn't even get mad. I didn't know who to be upset with. Because I couldn't be upset with the people because they're fighting for their lives on the street. You know what I mean?
100%.
So like it was always just so taxing because, like, I mean, it was a master course or like a master class in emotional control for me. Every day I had to keep my cool.
Right.
Like because I couldn't show it in front of my employees. I mean, sure I could. Like that's not to say that they would have judged me. They would have been very warm and welcoming. But I found it more powerful if I could keep my cool, then we could keep the focus on the business, and that's how I tried to lead the business, and it worked. We still had very happy customers, but damn, dude, it got so tiring.
Well, to bring the whole thing together, I'm glad that you found an answer to take yourself away from that constant taxation and hostility, and that was ultimately closing Tired Eyes. And I think that you as a human being are it's much better serving to yourself, but also like the way that you're serving the community right now in small business, but also the coffee community, bro. Like I'm talking with other coffee shop owners that are like, fucking thank you, because I can read the books, you know what I mean? But it's awesome to have somebody who like has the experience that I know you were fucking awesome at marketing for that shop. And I know you know about content creation and all of that strategy. And now to like take it and literally tell us how to do it in these small snippets on your Instagram in a very well-packaged form. It's very digestible. What made you choose that medium as your way of sharing content? Amongst the others, because I know that's not only one.
Yeah, absolutely. It was mostly because that's where my foundation is right now, like bigger picture, I'm going to put more emphasis on other platforms, but it was just like, okay, this is where most of my following is. I made a very hard pivot towards it, maybe I shouldn't even say maybe I could have, but some may argue that I could have like slowly done it more, but that's just not who I am. I'm very 0 to 100, like all or nothing. So I made a hard pivot to like this new aesthetic, this new position, so to speak, a new brand for myself. because it was where my following is right now. And you know, it's funny. It's as much practice for me as it is value for my audience, if that makes sense.
100%.
You know, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
I can read these books, but let me challenge myself, because I read every day. Like you've seen, you and I have talked about books, you know, for years now. So it was kind of this challenge of like, how quick and concise and valuable can I make my content, or how small and valuable can I make it? You know, so it's been a really good practice for me to take all these things I'm learning and putting into practice and boil them down to these small little bite-sized pieces.
Right.
So that really influenced the decision a lot, because I could go on YouTube or I could start a blog and do longer form content, but I really wanted to challenge myself to boil my advice down to these really bite-sized portions, and it's hard to do.
It really is. And some people say that you learn in different ways, whether you see it or hands-on or you read it, but I personally learn best by teaching it. And if I think I know something, like teaching it makes me see a whole different perspective, or maybe somebody asks a question that I didn't think of, or maybe just simply by me saying it out loud and me rehearing it, or you, let alone you reading it once, then you saying it into a camera, and then you editing that video, and then you posting text layers over that.
Yeah.
You're rereading it 4 or 5 times, and you're re-drilling it into your head.
That literally, dude, you hit the nail on the head, and that's what I'm saying is like, it was as much about showing it to people, but I don't really, right now I'm not deeply concerned, I should say. Like, of course I'm concerned with the audience liking it, because they should.
As much as one can be.
Yeah, but right now the most important thing to me is practice for myself.
Right.
Because literally when I film these videos, I write out a script for them, you know, like, and so I'm practicing copywriting, you know what I mean? So it's literally practice for myself, because I have to be able to write it and make it this small little package that's full of value.
Right.
You know, and that's a skill in and of itself. So yeah, it's challenging, you know, but I love it so far.
There's a quote on one of your videos. It says, the biggest myth about making content is that we have to be an expert on your given subject. We tell ourselves, well, there's a million people smarter than us, why would anyone listen to me? And the truth is, as long as you're one step ahead of your audience, then you do have something to teach them. So don't be afraid to share what you know. And I think that was beautiful. Like, it totally goes with everything I'm doing this podcast for, everything I did Sprocast for, because when I have these conversations, again, I'm learning that I know things I didn't even fucking know.
Exactly, yeah.
And
that's...
Go ahead.
For anyone listening who is interested in, you know, or nervous about making content, or maybe they have this skill that they want to share with the world, but they're nervous, you're going to get better, like you said, when you teach it, because you have to be able to deliver it in really, you know, again, small, concise, valuable little chunks at a time. So it forces you to reevaluate and get more clear on whatever it is that you're teaching about.
Right.
You know, it forces you to get a lot of mental clarity about what it is you're teaching, and it's the other thing is, like, this is not some like huge revelation. This is, you know, many people have said this, but it's so important to keep reiterating. Everyone started from scratch. You know, I think it's easy to find someone on Instagram who has 100,000 followers and say like, well, they're so good at it. They started with 0 followers also.
Yeah.
And the best way I can put it is, I was literally thinking about this morning, is like, if I'm a guitar player and I want to be the best I can be, then I'm in my room at least 1 hour a day playing guitar, practicing. But then I go and play a show, and that's when people see you perform, you know, and they say, oh, you're so good. They didn't see all those hours you spent practicing. So when you're creating content, what you're actually doing is practicing in public. Does that make sense?
100%.
So like, for every 5 pieces of content I put out, I'm like, I hope one of them is really good. The other 4 can just be considered practice, and hopefully they delivered some value, but it's like for every 5 I put out, I hope 1 hits, and so far that's been kind of the rhythm I'm on. So like there's a term in the Twitter world of, you know, content creators that you learn in public, you know, and that's like, for beginners, that's a really important concept to remember, is you learn in public. As you go, you just share what you're learning, and guaranteed there's a group of people that don't know as much as you, and they get value from you sharing that practice. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. I hadn't heard that before, and like now me feeling like I'm learning in public, maybe I'll drop some of my, what's the word I'm looking for? I won't be so much of a perfectionist, you know, because I'm learning. Like this is, and I am also trying to remember that skill is now as you see these people with 100,000 followers, the Gary V's or whoever, he always posts what he looked like 10 years ago. And he always posts like, dude, I was doing fucking this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And like, it just looks better now and it sounds better and you like it now because I've been doing it for 10 years and I got better A to B to C to D to E. And you're looking at Y. Yeah. You didn't see A, B, and C. Like
exactly, yes.
Also, our boss here, Dylan, teaches me, and this is something I'm really trying to take with me, is tomorrow I just want to be better than I was today. Today I have to acknowledge that I'm better than I was yesterday. And what steps am I taking today that are trying to make me better than I was yesterday? I'm not trying to be better than you or them or anybody else in this room, because somebody in this room has been here longer than me, or maybe they've been working at this longer than I have. Yeah. And for me to compare apples to oranges doesn't really make sense. Yeah. For me to compare 100%. me, like that's the only way that I can be accountable for myself and stay responsible and stay proud and confident. Like, dude, yesterday I didn't know this, and yesterday maybe I acted up on this, but today I can be proud because I fucking fixed that version of me.
100%. Yeah. And that's two things come to mind when you say that. James Clear is the author of Atomic Habits, and he has a rule of thumb or a suggestion or a, you know, mental shift to make. Remind yourself, or each day, you know, wake up knowing that 1% better every day is 365% better over the course of a year.
Every year.
So like, dude, imagine if your business got 1% better every day, 365% growth per year, your business would be skyrocketing. So it's like, it's really adopting that mindset of like, okay, I'm just going to get 1% better. I'm just going to push myself a little bit every single day, whether that's, and he also suggests starting small, you know, like,
1%.
Yeah, literally, you know, like do something easy and repeatable. Like if we're going to make like a weightlifting analogy, like don't go do your personal, you know, your is it PR, personal record? Yeah. Don't go do your PR every single day. Just lift a weight every day to keep yourself, like, keep that momentum building, you know? So there's that. And then the other thing is, you know, I think content creation gets a bad rap because we only think of it as influencers. We think of it as people dancing on TikTok, you know, and like, and while it is those things at times, like content creation does two things that like are so powerful. It forces you to have clarity, like I was saying. Whatever it is you're passionate about, you constantly have to be studying it in order to create content about it. So it forces you to have real clarity, and then it forces you to face your deepest insecurities.
Insecurities is the word I was trying to think of.
I'm being like totally honest.
Yeah.
Because like, dude, when I post a video, like I may not, like you have to watch yourself on camera. That's a hard thing to do. But the more you do it, like even my girlfriend, she's told me like, wow, you've gotten so much better over the last month. And I'm like, really? Because I've had to tune it out. I've just had to say, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Yeah. You know, like
100%. Yep.
And then you do start to take a look at your work and you're like, oh shit, I am getting better and I'm getting more comfortable with myself. Yeah. You know, so it's like, I don't mean to sound like a fucking fanatic, but I absolutely am a fanatic about content now because like it's self-expression. Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
I mean, it's cool that there's nobody else having any kind of control in what you're doing. It's literally just you under your name, doing what you love, which is sharing the knowledge that you have accrued.
100%.
Which is like, it's crazy, and it's...
You just summed up content creation, or you just summed up like a personal brand. Like, can you imagine if you told someone 40, 50 years ago that every individual walking down the street who's fortunate enough to have a smartphone could have their own TV channel, essentially? Because
Right.
that's what it is.
Right.
You know, and you can build real leverage off of that, you know, and like, that being said, don't get it twisted. You're going to go through a lot of like weird, ambiguous, like, I may be putting out content every day, you know, but I'm building for years from now. You can't expect the results tomorrow. And Gary Vee talks about that all the time.
Right.
You know, and he says exactly what you said, where he's like, I put out content for, you know, I saw him the other day post, like, I put out 1,000 pieces of content before I ever saw, you know, results. And like, that may sound scary, but like 1,000 is not that crazy when you think about like people
Thousands.
It's not that crazy.
It's not that crazy.
People spend, if that one piece of content every day, that's, you know, 3 years to get to 1,000. A bachelor's degree takes 4 to 5 years.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so like, all that to say, I just really want to encourage people to share what they know, you know?
And I'm glad that now in today's day and age, maybe it's to people like you and me, but it seems to be there's a big group of people where a sense of celebrity is intertwined with education.
Mm-hmm.
Where now, like, in order to be that big on a Gary Vee level, like, you can be that big by content creation about what you know. It's not fucking Elvis anymore.
Yeah.
In the 50s, to be that big, you had to be Elvis or the Beatles.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you're getting into everybody's home, and you're having that many people hear your name
Yeah.
and what you want to share.
Absolutely, yeah. But the tables have turned, like...
Thank God.
Yeah, the control is, like, completely in the hands of the creator, which is insane.
Right.
Like, it's so special. And the other thing is, like, you know, authenticity, you know, content creators talk about it all the time, but it's because people can spot someone being disingenuous from a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you don't have to worry about how you're going to come off, because as long as you are being authentic, that is like...
It's readable.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, if you feel like you're lying to yourself when you're making the content, people are gonna detect it. You know, I got a very, very nice compliment from Danny at Ultrea Coffee today. She told me, she was like, dude, you're glowing in your content. And I was like, whoa.
It's true. Yeah, we were talking about that the other day. Who was I talking about? Kano. Okay. I think, we were just talking about, like, you look happier, bro. Like, content is better digested from somebody who looks like they're having a good time sharing it.
Yeah.
We always hated our teachers in high school who looked like they were having the fucking worst time ever. But the teachers that loved their jobs, it was easier to learn from. Exactly. Because we loved learning it from a glowing fucking happy face, man.
Yeah, thank you. And I am absolutely happier and feel much more lightweight, you know, spiritually. And
100%.
You know, so all that is to say also, like, in order to get to that level with content, you do have to be very self-aware. You know, like, I talked about this in one of my posts. Like, I do reels in video because I know from BMX, you know, like, as you know, with skating, like, it's all about filming videos and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so like, to me, I was like, well, I know how videos are made. I've had friends who film. I've filmed in my life. I know how to edit videos because of that. So I'm going to do videos, you know, and also written content. I'm working on more written content that I'm going to start releasing. But you may be like Itzel, you know, she's a graphic designer. So if you go to Itzel's page, I would say probably 60% of her content is like design driven.
Right.
So she's self-aware, right? She knows, like, oh, this is what I'm good at. Mm-hmm. And she's talked about it. She did that professionally for years at a design firm, so she treats it the same. She's like, okay, I know how to do that. Let me just do that every day now.
Right.
You know, and like, so yeah, you really got to know what you're good at, and, you know, putting your face on camera is going to get you further.
Right.
I will be frank about that because we want to connect with people, so showing your face is valuable, but it doesn't mean you have to do it all the time.
Well, I think that kind of connects to how you were talking about the genuine aspect of it. Like, we show so much emotion in our face.
Yeah.
And the masks, I think, kind of showed that to society too, of like, when people hide fucking 60% of their face, you can't feel what they're feeling. You can't see it and read it and maybe feel true laughter. They're laughing their ass off, but you don't feel, it's not contagious.
Absolutely.
They're yawning and you don't feel like you have to yawn. Like those weird things that we're so connected to.
Yeah.
Some could say even hormonally or subconsciously. It's so funny. You're talking about different medias of marketing, and oftentimes, as your studies have brought up, you talk about email marketing a lot.
Yeah.
This one quote says, email marketing could be saving you thousands of dollars. And probably be making you even more money. It's because it costs 5 times as much to get a new customer as it does to retain a customer. So when someone buys a product from you or hands over their email, what they're really saying is, I want what you have to offer. So start with a simple platform like OmniSend, Klaviyo, send updates to your customers. Think of it as a more personalized Instagram post. Right there. Sharing these like specific knowledge, specific like use these fucking apps, use these. That was fucking awesome.
Thank you. Good on you for quoting this stuff. I'm impressed.
No, for real, man. Like, I want people to understand, like you said, content creation kind of has a bad rep. And the second people hear what the fuck, content creation to me also is kind of vague. It's kind of, you could be Jake Paul or you could be you, dog. Like, that's
100%.
That's both content creation at really high, well done degrees.
Exactly.
I don't really fuck with Jake Paul, but you could see that his content is like, he's been doing it for a while, and he's a good example of like, if you want to be you, you could run with that and achieve your metrics of success, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
Emails is something in this day and age, and I think in our business, if you're not reading those books that you're reading, emails are fucking, I wouldn't have even thought about it.
And, sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I do want to, I'm glad you brought that up because I want to chime in on that because like, that's what I'm doing to make money right now is I'm doing email marketing for a few companies right now. And it's tough because the content that I have on my page is geared towards other creators. I have to drop in those email things here and there to show that I know what I'm talking about for potential businesses.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a different audience that I'm talking to. But, you know, so like, I guess if I could just break that down for potential creators or business owners, you know, it's like there's content that's meant for attraction, and that's what most of my content is. It's kind of surface level, real just like real simple but clear and concise ideas about the big picture of content creation. Right. And then you move down the funnel into more specific stuff. Like you said, I dropped OmniSend, Klaviyo. I dropped the actual like specific platforms you can use. So that content is for like potential clients that I could get, and it's for people like you who you own or you know own this business, but you're very deeply involved. You know, so like, so yeah, there's you know that's another thing you'll learn when you make content is there's different levels of your audience. You know, and that's why I said the funnel. Top of the funnel is like the people who are just filling it out, trying to get
casuals.
The casuals, 100% the casuals. And then as you go down the funnel, you get closer and closer to people that could potentially become customers, clients, or diehard fans. Right. So there's different levels to your content. So that's very important to remember. And so also with email marketing, you know, just to clarify, like saving thousands of dollars using email marketing and making even more, it's because email marketing gets overlooked by companies a lot for I don't know what reason, truthfully.
Same.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it just does get overlooked. But so traditionally to run like say a Facebook ad, that costs money. Yeah. You know, like
all of the social media ads.
Any sort of ad
cost good money.
And those ads are usually targeted towards new customers, attracting new customers. And so that's why they say it costs 5 times more to do that than if you have a customer's email. That means they are either familiar with who your company is, they're warm, you know, they're familiar with you, or B, they're a customer. They've already bought from you. So it doesn't, all you have to do is pay the monthly fee for email, you know, to have the platform, and then you can talk to that customer. There's no ad spend.
Right.
You know, so just to clarify that, that's like you truly, if you focus on email, like you don't spend any money attracting the customer. They're already in your ecosystem.
Right.
You know, so that's why email is so valuable.
And if you wanted to go like super traditional and you're talking like billboards and radio ads and TV space and fucking, you're spending million or we're not going to talk about money. The metrics, but that is its own business, and it's hard now as to kind of throw that hat on, you know, like, because in these small businesses, again, it's probably the fucking coffee roaster who's now doing the marketing.
Yeah.
And we're all just trying to figure it out. And what I'm figuring out is, like, I thought I could go on Instagram and it says store and I'll put things on store and then people will buy it, and it is not that simple.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that when we send the email out to the people whose email we have, you know, hey, we're doing this 10% off sale because it's fucking the holidays, buy 2 bags, get 1 free, whatever it is. All those little nuggets that you're kind of throwing out there, to me, really resonated with me as far as like email marketing works. Retain your customers before you get new ones. However much it costs, you know that retaining a customer is easier than getting a new one. That just makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Like, absolutely. I mean, think about it this way. I'll drop a coffee analogy. Someone walks into your shop for the first time, right? And they are unfamiliar with what you do, you know, they aren't sure if they trust you yet. Let's be real. Every human, when they walk into a new place, they're trying to figure out, do I trust these people, this place? Do I like them? So they're cold, right? You, as the barista on the other side of the counter, you're gonna have to work a little harder to warm them up, right? Mm-hmm. You're gonna have to expel more energy. If someone comes in for the 3rd time in a row, you could maybe finally say, like, hey, you want that mocha again?
Exactly.
It takes you so much less energy.
Right.
So that's how I can equate the email thing. Like, if you have their email, that means they already like what you're doing. They're ready to come back for more.
Right.
You know, so like, yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. When I see, unless you have billions or millions of dollars for ad spend, when I see a company using a billboard, I'm like, that's to me a waste of money. Instagram is free to just make a post. Emails are mostly free. You know, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, there's all these free platforms.
Right.
You know, but I'm just going down a rabbit hole now. But.
I mean, there is one coffee company that we keep talking about who bought a Super Bowl ad, and they're on UFC mats, and they're Joe Rogan, and they're, you know, all these things that, like, very clearly to me are like, I could say the fucking old age in my mind of advertising. Like, if somebody came to me and they're like, I want to advertise my business and I have $40,000, how do I do it? I would tell them, like, you should probably go buy a fucking billboard and a commercial. And
exactly.
But to see a coffee company do it was so out of I was like, how the fuck? And then I look on their Instagram and they've got like 1 million followers, and like, but I saw that their demographic was simply different than ours. And I think they're trying to reach a different market than I'd be trying to reach. I'm not trying, like, it'd be cool if every person that watched the Super Bowl drank my coffee, but like, I'm a little bit more niche than that, and I can 100%. Respect that idea. I'm not the fucking, I'm not gonna talk shit about that company. Awesome. All of that being said, it sounds like you're really loving content creating and strategizing for digital platforms.
Dude, if I could chime in on that real quick.
Please.
If you go to my bio, it says copywriter and content strategist for creators.
Content strategist for creators.
And I want to clarify that real quick. So what I'm doing professionally is copywriting, writing emails for other companies, right?
Right.
That's copywriting.
Right.
Even writing my scripts for my video, that's copywriting.
Right.
But the content strategy is what I share on the Instagram in the way that, you know, content strategy is about placing your content in the right places at the right time. And I actually have a reel dropping on this sometime this week, where I talk about and you're so great with customer service, this will resonate with you. just to drop another coffee analogy, when someone walks into the coffee shop, your job is to greet them as quickly as you can, right?
Yep.
You know, to make them feel warm and welcome.
Right.
If you wait too long and you don't greet them, you've missed your opportunity to warm them up.
Right.
That's what content strategy is. Putting the right thing in front of people at the right time in the right place. Does that make sense?
100%.
So that's what I try and share a lot of is like, I'm not going to tell you how to go make a video or how to, you know, go write a blog post. That's not really my specialty. What I feel deeply passionate about is figuring out like, okay, what does the audience need to see when and where? Because honestly, I related a lot to the retail experience.
Yeah.
You know, so content strategy goes so far beyond just deciding this is the type of content I'm going to put out. It goes into, you know, deciding like, okay, again, new customer, we need to send them a welcome email that makes them feel welcome. Okay, that customer's bought from us 5 times. They're now considered a VIP customer. We're going to give them a discount.
Right.
That's content strategy.
Got it.
So I do just want to clarify that. And it's,
Yeah, definitely.
you know, something to think about. You can't just blast your content out to everyone.
And to even go back to the customer service metaphor, like when somebody comes in, you have to kind of read that customer. This kind of goes more niche into strategy, but to look at a customer and see that maybe they're like a little tired or something, you shouldn't fucking yell in their face, good morning.
Dude.
Or like maybe somebody's in a rush, you shouldn't talk to them about what single origin pour overs you have and what roast processes. You should give them a batch and tell them to go.
Yeah.
And reading the customers, meeting them where they're at is like one of the beautiful things about content strategy.
Yeah.
It's reading the lines that customers aren't necessarily telling you. You have to pick up on the clues that you're studying and that you're reading about, and you're saying, okay, well, these are clues, and these subconsciously our market is going to be interested in our product, and we can use these tools and these strategies to not only retain a customer, but to make a happier, better customer in general.
Yeah, absolutely. That you just hit the nail on the head, and that's like, so what I'm saying with all that and what we just said is that content strategy is everywhere if you really think about it.
Yeah.
You know, the actual way it's delivered is different. You know, in a coffee shop, you're delivering it face to face. Online, you're delivering it through a video or a picture or something like that, but it's everywhere, you know, like, and so that's, even though copywriting is like, again, that's what I'm doing to make my money right now. What I'm most passionate about is helping people understand when and where to post these things. You know, like I just met with one of my clients today and we went over the next month worth of emails, but we had to get on the same page of like, okay, these customers are, you know, again, just like these customers are more regular, let's give them a discount, you know, or okay, we have some cold customers here, let's send them an email with some of our Yelp reviews so they can see that that people trust us.
Right.
You know, so it's knowing what to say to who at the right time.
Right.
You know, so content strategy is everywhere.
Would you say that that's what you want to do personally long term?
1000%. I copywriting is a necessary part of what I want to do,
right?
Because I have to be able to execute for them. I have to be able to write.
Well, also for anybody watching this that enjoys copywriting in general, that it feels passionate, that feels like that's a skill that they have. Now that they know fiscally we all have to pay rent, a way to use that skill to pay rent is copywriting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So copywriting is like okay, we'll keep the coffee analogies going. Copywriting is knowing how to pull a shot, knowing how to steam milk. It's
the fundamentals,
the
technical.
Exactly, the technical side of it. Content strategy is the overarching coffee director, knowing, okay, we need a Brazil for this blend. We need an Ethiopia, but Ethiopia goes out of season this month. You know, it's the overarching strategy.
It's interesting because one could argue you can't learn that from a book. You know what I mean?
You have to be
you
in the
have
mix.
to fucking have some skin in the game and have some experience and You know what I mean?
You just gave me chills because you nailed it.
There's there's kids that go into culinary school that like, oh, I'm fresh out of high school and I did culinary school. And then there's the kid that worked in the fucking kitchen for 2 years and he was a dishwasher and then the dishwasher, and then they were the prep cook, and then they were on the line, and like having that skin in the game, I think you have a better understanding of what's happening. So to hear content strategy from somebody who has that skin in the game, I think helps it resonate a little bit better.
Yeah.
And content strategy is literally how, like, it's so funny because you're making the content and then you're understanding the content strategy. Yeah. So you're understanding the tools that it takes to get me to not only receive your content, but to digest it a little bit better.
It's a very like psychological, you have to be very intuitive.
Right.
You have to put yourself in the shoes of whoever is receiving the content. And you can't learn that from a book. You can learn the techniques, you know, but you have to be able to practice it. So like that's why content strategy is my big picture goal, is because I understand like this is going to take years to really master.
Right.
You know, because I want to be able to, you know, I still really want to keep working in coffee, and 2 of my customers right now are coffee roasters. I want to be able to like, you know, I want a roasting company to be able to consult with me and say, hey, we're unclear about who our customers are. We're unclear about what they like and what they say. We need help clarifying that. Okay, you need a content strategy, you know? So that's one thing, but again, that's why I need to be able to copyright, because I need to be able to write for them.
Right.
Does that make sense?
100%, yeah.
So yeah, so my big picture dream is like, you know, really being able to work with brands on a deeper level to really clarify who their customers are, how do we get to them, and how do we really connect with them.
And then when you are connected with them, what do you say and how do you say it?
Dude, you're like taking words out of my mouth, you know, like that's like exactly it.
Because those are individual skills.
And
even I could sit here and write poems for days, but I might not know how to get that poem in everybody's hand.
Exactly.
And then on the other hand, I might know how to get a sticky note in everybody's fucking hands, but it might not say shit on it. And like mastering those 2 skills to deliver a beautiful message to somebody is like, I think, imperative for companies to have, and I think it's like invaluable.
Dude, it is absolutely invaluable. It's there's so many facets to a company, but I think at the top of the pyramid, you know, most important is obviously the people involved. You know, if you have shitty people involved, you have a shitty company, period. But also it's like you have to have this balance between a really good product and marketing. And marketing, it gets such a bad rap, but marketing is really just understanding how to communicate your product to the right people.
Right. You
know, so like, yeah, I mean, that's what I really want to do, big picture. And that being said, I still love coffee, you know, and like, that's why it's been exciting working with a couple coffee roasters right now. Is like I said, like, you know, I just added thousands of dollars to one of my clients to their business in February through email marketing. And that was so cool for me to be able to like, I was in their shop today actually talking to them, and to see the line building out the door, and they were telling me like, I feel it, like we're growing. Like that was so powerful because I still love coffee.
Hell yeah.
You know, so I do just want to clarify that for anyone listening who is wondering, like, am I done with coffee? I may not be deep in the weeds, so to speak, running my own coffee roasting company anymore, but
yeah, dog, you might not be fucking underslept at 6 a.m. pulling shots in a town where you just had to watch somebody overdose, and you're wondering if your paper cups are going to come and you have to roast today at 3 p.m. and yes, you're not that hollow human being. You've removed yourself from that, but you're still a fan of coffee, and you're still here with us, and you're still working in coffee, very much technically and literally. Because again, everybody that understands, coffee is so much more than that motherfucker standing right there. There's fucking supply chain, there's fucking copywriters, there's fucking all the marketing side that doesn't look like a goddamn Mad Men office. There's fucking so much to this. And I think it was really cool for you to come on and show us that side.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm still passionate about coffee. I just need a breather. And as far as closing Tired Eyes, I could have kept it alive and kept selling online like I had been since closing the shop. But dude, I just don't half-ass things. You
100%.
know? Like I really, I thought long and hard about it, and I was like, I gotta lay it to rest.
Yeah.
You know, like, what's the saying? I think Kurt Cobain, better to burn out than fade away.
Right.
You know, like, I was just like, you know what? I gave it my all. I am literally burnt out on it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I need to just lay it to rest. And
Right.
one day when I am, you know, rejuvenated and probably older and, you know, a little more stable and stuff, like, I do want a coffee shop again.
Right.
You know, but I started so young and then chaos hit and I just need a breather.
Man, I like it because to me, and Dylan and I were talking about this morning, it doesn't feel like Tired Eyes is over. Like, I remember going to the pop-ups. I remember when you were first opening the shop and seeing it like remotely painted. I remember having you on Sprocast right before your opening day and right after. So I kind of have a personal connection to Tired Eyes too. In which case, like, I'm happy that you came out of it, because that is another thing that's so important about all of this is like, we love our brands and we personify with them and they validate us and they wake us up in the morning and all these cliche things, but at the same time, like, fucking save yourself, man.
Absolutely.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Dude, I'm just like, I'm playing the long game now.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's what it is like, I'm not just tapping out. Like, no, I'm just like playing the long game. And that was a big problem with Tired Eyes, is I was thinking very short term a lot of the time because I was surviving.
Right.
I couldn't think long term, you know, because every day was a fucking battle. And like, you know, we were making enough money, but it was all these exterior, you know, things coming at me where it felt like literal fucking survival.
Right.
So I was constantly thinking short term. Like, it was like, okay, we got through today without any, you know, like, without someone fucking attacking my employee. You know what I mean? Like,
And for anybody thinking that like this is normal, like, I want to fully admit, like, you went through a lot more shit than in your 2 years than we did in those two. Like,
Yeah.
Things are different. People go through different things. The amount of times you had your window smashed versus us in 5 years versus 2 years is crazy. The amount of overdoses on your block, the amount of people coming in dangerously high on drugs.
literally, like, I had a guy lunge over the counter for my throat at one point.
And then what that does to you, not only as a human being psychologically, but then also you, when you're having interviews, you're sitting there and
Dude,
you're like, can this person take a knife attack?
Literally, that happened when that guy lunged for my neck. He was trying to, he was not stable. He was trying to tell me there was a chip in my neck, that I was being followed. And so I was very calm. I was trying to ask him to leave. He lunges for my neck and he barely like scratched me. And I was like, you need to leave right now. Like, I got real firm with him. But dude, I had a new hire on her. It was her first hour ever working for Tired Eyes. And she was just looking at me like, what the fuck was that? And I was just like, that was like, I would say that era right there around that time, because that was summer of last year, I was really hitting my breaking point.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like miserable. I was just like, because of experiences like that. And dude, I was, you know, I'm 29 now, but I was 28 then. You know, that's so young to be like dealing with all this.
Right.
You know, and so like that is not the typical coffee shop owner.
Exactly what
experience.
I'm trying to say. Like,
And
that is such a rough run of it, and that is so, again, like, it's so disrespectful of circumstances, because you can't blame it on somebody, and you can't, like, and disrespectful isn't the word, because you can't take it as disrespect, but fuck, man, that's a really hard cards to be laid out to you.
Exactly.
It's a rough hand.
And, you know, again, I said it in my post, like, it was a short-lived run with Tired Eyes, you know, but I'm so glad I never want to experience those things again, but I'm so glad I did, because it did shape me. But I don't want to be dealt those cards anymore, and I just need a breather. And like, and that's why I tell people, if I had opened in a different neighborhood or had known that COVID was going to hit, Tired Eyes would probably still be going.
100%.
You know, if I was down the street on Adams somewhere, frankly, I'd probably have 2 cafes by now.
Yes, bro, but it would be a much more beautiful sentiment to know that you haven't been so energized, taxed for 2 years.
Yeah.
I would sleep better at night knowing that you've been here in a nice neighborhood and people say please and thank you to you instead of lunging at your neck.
Literally, or holding a fucking, literally another guy holding a golf club to my chest saying, back the fuck up, you know, and like, and I just have to sit there and like keep my cool because I'm not going to punch a homeless person in the face. You know what I mean?
It's so fucking...
So like, yeah, it was a challenging couple years down there, that's for sure. So
I'm glad that you're not dealing with that anymore. I'm glad that we still get to learn, because I hope you find solace knowing that we've learned so much. I learned so much of the Tired Eyes journey from the beginning of learning like why it's important to create content and keep fucking creating content. Why it's important to have people behind your brand that embody with your brand, and then why it's important to bring your people on. You and Bradford were friends. I saw him at the pop-up. He's the one painting the mural on your wall. I saw value in that alone, to have that kind of relationship. To also, now I'm learning that like, we're not fucking opening a shop downtown. You got me so fucked up. Like, I'm looking at all sorts of leases in anywhere but downtown, and then anybody else that I know that's looking to open shops, like, I kind of thought it when you said it. When you were like, I got my shop, it's downtown. And like, the fuck am I going to say, like, don't open downtown?
Yeah.
Like, no, but like, my thought was like, damn, downtown, like, that's a risk, and fucking, but I can see the brand and all of those things.
it had potential.
It had potential, but right now, downtown San Diego, small business, does not make sense.
Yeah. Well, and what's weird is I say it had potential because I really believe it did. And also, if you go down there right now, the new construction is crazy.
It's obscene.
Every other block is a new building being put up.
Right.
And that's what I saw is I was like, if I can get in early on this, this might be really good, you know?
I could see that.
You know?
I could see that.
And Clay from Young Hickory, we talked about it. He had a location down there. He had the same thought, you know?
He went in closer to where a lot more developments are. That whole shit is a lot of
like
developments.
Completely new developments. So, you know, like, I think my vision was commendable.
100%.
But it just didn't pan out.
Right.
And for anyone listening who's looking at spots, do not fall for the traps of downtown, because you'll think, oh, it's downtown. You'll think there's Padres games, there's
fucking
bars,
major
there's
cities in
restaurants.
general. Any major city, I feel like right now the downtowns got hit hard because there was a pandemic.
Yeah, and you know, houseless people congregate.
Yeah.
Downtown is an easy spot to congregate.
Well, I think as far as help for houseless people, it's often in the downtown urban neighborhoods.
That's exactly. So like, you know, there was a Salvation Army in downtown not far from us that was one thing.
There's a methadone clinic right up the street from you guys too, right?
Yeah, and that's one thing that I did miss on, is I should have taken note of like, wait, what are all these, you know, God bless those clinics, you know, for helping them.
Right.
But that was one thing I totally overlooked, is I was only focused on the potential. I missed some of the key indicators of like, oh shit, there's a lot of shelters down here.
Right.
I missed that. I will admit I completely missed that, and it didn't take me long. You know, about a year into it, I knew where every shelter was, and I started to realize like I'm surrounded.
Right.
Which again, bless them and the work they do, but it is not good for business.
Right. And then you start thinking about like, in an ideal world, where would you put the methadone clinic? Do you put it near the fucking harbor? Like, what? They have to be next to restaurants, because restaurants have extra food to give to the houseless. They need to find food. They're not going to find it.
Trolleys, bus stations,
hospitals.
Exactly.
I mean, there's so many bigger issues here that fucking you and I are not going to put on the politician hat to solve. We're not going to put on city planner hats and like be so cool if one day we could. But either way, I'm glad that you are choosing the hats that you get to wear right now. And I'm glad that nobody else is in your fucking kitchen to be a different chef.
Yeah.
That being said, do you have any shouts out?
You know, there are many people I could shout out, so rather than just going through a long list, I would just like to say thank you to anyone and everyone who's followed Tired Eyes, liked something from Tired Eyes, and this goes for my personal brand as well. You know, if you spent $1 on anything I've ever done, or, you know, supported me in any way, just thank you. You know, yesterday was really, I expected yesterday making that post to be a little somber, because it was sad, it was hard to do. But yesterday I felt like so uplifted by the community, to read all those comments and get all those messages, and I was like, holy shit, Tired Eyes meant something to people.
Bro.
And I was so caught up in the day-to-day drama of it, I never got to embrace that, like being totally honest. And so like, just shout out everyone who's ever, given love to Tired Eyes, because I really saw what that meant yesterday. And it's why I do believe I'll have a coffee shop in the future one day, is I'm like, you cannot put a price on community love. So shout out the community in San Diego.
Yeah, I just want to shout out the San Diego community too, man. Fucking amazing. Hospitality, coffee industry here is fucking incredible. Thank you all so much. To anybody that supported us. Thank you to all the viewers. Thank you to everybody that's been viewing so far, and for all your fucking emails have been awesome. All the love I've been receiving has been amazing. Any questions or anything like that can be sent to j@compacoffeeroasters.com. But until next time, we'll see y'all later. Peace. Yo, you killed it.
Dude, you killed it. You were prepared. I love that.